If you want a petrol-powered Mercedes coupe, then your options are plenty. You could go with the C200, C300, C43 AMG, or even the full-fat C63. If you just want the coupe mainly for its looks though, what car do you go for? Do you go for the C200 with its 1.5 litre engine, or do you go for a proper AMG? Well, I think I found the perfect compromise. Let's get into it. My name's Tom, and you're watching Paragon Cars. Let's go. We're on TikTok, so if you want to see weekly updates, behind the scenes footage, and some funny stuff, click the link in the description below to follow us now. Now, this may look like a C43 AMG from the outside, but don't be fooled, as this is just an AMG line Mercedes C300 under the skin. The previous owner just wanted the C43 without the associated costs that came with it. The engine is a 2-litre inline 4, making 255 horsepower and 370 Nm of torque. It's good for 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds and will eventually hit 155 miles an hour. So, it's not slow, but is it quick? Let's do the 30 to 70 sprint and find out. Well, you know what? It's actually pretty decent. We managed 5.38 seconds, which is around the same time as a Mercedes GLE 43 AMG, and not far off of a Mark III Ford Focus RS. It's not crazy fast, but for public roads, it's got more than enough grunt. Inside, you'll find the much needed facelifted cabin with digital cockpit, a larger infotainment, and a very shiny steering wheel. For me, this is perfect C-Class. Not too much screen, but enough tech that it doesn't feel 10 years out of date. Unfortunately, what does feel out of date is the room in the rear, as unlike most modern coupes, the C-Class still offers very poor leg and headroom for anyone under 4 foot tall. I suppose you're not buying the coupe for its practicality, but when the competition looks just as good and offers more room, it's difficult not to complain. Thankfully, the boot is pretty decent in size though, and with the ability to fold the seats down, you're not going to struggle to get a load of stuff in. Okay then, let's get on the road and see what kind of car the C300 really is. Oh yes. See, the chassis is so capable that as standard, you can't really exploit it. Woo! Can we hit 60 before the corner? Of course we can. It's actually been quite a while since I've driven a Mercedes C300, let alone a Mercedes C-Class actually. And you forget just how nice they are actually. They're well damped, they're about the right size, easy to drive, they're fantastic dailies. But this C300 is supposed to have a little bit more than just a daily drivability feel to it. It's supposed to be a little bit more sporty. Not C43 sporty, not AMG sporty as it were, but just, you know, a little sporty edge to it. But going over speed bumps, you've still got that AMG line suspension, which is more orientated towards comfort than it is, you know, dynamic handling. But it's nice, you know, it feels well balanced. It irons out all the smaller undulations well, and then going over speed bumps is no problem. It is a bit of a problem for this car though, because it has a gargantuan splitter on the front bumper, which does mean you bottom out quite easily if you're not careful. So you just have to go very slowly over speed bumps. But steering's nice and light. It's a fast steering rack as well. Feels very nice and tight to drive. And there you get that rear drive feel, throttle pedal, brake pedal, easy to modulate. The brakes in Mercedes are really nice, I have to say. They have a really nice initial bite point. That's where they do beat BMW in terms of feel, although BMW's beating them on pretty much everything else. But their brakes feel really nice to use. It's just quiet, it's comfortable, the seats hold you in nicely. It's just a really good daily driver. And you got things like hill hold assist. That's been standard in Mercedes' cars for years now. Only thing I'm noticing so far is that I'm still sitting a little bit too high for my liking. It's better than an Audi, but it's not quite as good as a BMW. But it is nice to drive. And in terms of parking, use your very nice steering column mounted shifter to get into reverse. Then we've got a 360 camera on this AMG line Premium Plus car. Parking sensors all round. You've got all the bells and whistles to just help you park with ease. Although steering lock, you don't have as much as you'd expect, so I totally cocked that up. I was expecting a bit more steering angle. Anyway, once you are in the space though, as you can see, even though this is a coupe, it's not quite as big as the E-Class, obviously. So it means you can get out and in the car fairly easily, even in a tight parking space, which you find plenty of in London. It's just a very good wafter. I think it's because it's a C-Class, you're not really feeling the need for a bigger engine, as of yet anyway. Then coming out of a junction, give it half throttle, turbo comes in straight away, little bit of a hop, skip and a jump from the rear, but it does a fairly good job. Now in terms of fuel economy, this car is supposed to do, apparently, over 50 miles per gallon on the motorway. Combined cycle, it says you'll get 44 mpg, which is not bad. You know, you got a bit of balance of performance and economy there. Car doesn't weigh that much as well, so we should theoretically be able to achieve at least 44 mpg, which would be nice. You know, that's kind of the reason you buy this car. You want a C43 really, but you don't want the fuel bill that comes along with it. So let's reset our trip computer and see if we can get that figure. Of course, as usual, before we get on the motorway, we're going to have a quick taste of the handling around Roundabout, and it should be fairly spicy. Right, everything's in its sportiest setting. Traction control is off, of course. And the first thing I'm noticing is when I put my foot down, there seems to be intake noise that I didn't have in Comfort. Now, is that coming through the speakers? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to see what the handling's like. Gearbox responds fairly well. Sound is 2 litre, is what you'd expect. And we can have some fun. Oh yeah, a lot of pumped in noise from this engine. But as you can see, it's pretty good fun. And yeah, gearbox is pretty good. Shifts through gears fairly quickly. I have to say though, the ZF8 speed in BMWs does feel a bit quicker. Anyway, let's get traction control back on, back into eco, and let's do some cruising. And you know, a lot of people say a 2 litre engine is no good for faster speeds, but this is pretty decent though. You just sit just under 2,000 revs, and you just waft up to 70 miles an hour. Look, you even give it half throttle. Not going to go as fast as that guy. That's at least over the speed limit. Yeah, this car on the motorway is fantastic. Suspension just feels nice, comfortable. I mean, it is really hard to fault, I have to say. And yeah, once you get to 70, get into 9th gear, whack the cruise control on, you just sit in under 2,000 revs and you just chill out. It is fantastic. Steering wants to stay nice and straight. You really can munch miles in this thing. And even though it's a 2 litre engine, you don't really get that sort of like hum that you get in smaller cars. It really relaxes. In terms of sound deadening, it is slightly louder than the equivalent Audi A5, but it is quieter than the previous generation BMW 4 Series. So the latest, I think it's, I can't remember, G Series, 4 Series, it's definitely a bit quieter than this inside, but the previous one isn't quite as quiet. I mean, overall though, still a very quiet car. Being a coupe, visibility is good, you've got no B pillar, A pillar's nice and thin as well, so you can see out of it. And yeah, it's just fantastic for munching miles. Talking about munching miles, we're going to do some of that now. We're going to do about 15 miles on the motorway and see what kind of economy we can get out of this thing. We'll see in a bit. Okay, so not exactly the figure I was hoping for. I mean, we're still doing 38.1 mpg, but a lot of cars in this segment can quite easily do that as well. I think maybe the main culprit might be that gargantuan front splitter on the bumper of the car. I think that is affecting the aerodynamics of the car just a tad. Over a long journey, you're still going to get over 40 mpg, and I think if you take that splitter off, you might get like 45 to 47, but you're going to have to be driving pretty slowly to do that. So in terms of efficiency, this Mercedes C300 isn't the worst, but I do think it could be a bit better. You know, even cars like a BMW M340i, you know, with a big inline-six engine, will do over 40 mpg very easily. So it's a shame that I couldn't quite get over 40 miles per gallon today. And we were sitting between 60 to 70, so it's not like I'm going too fast or, you know, way too slow to try and get the best figure out of it. I'm just doing realistic speeds. Still going up, but I do think you could get a lot better in some other cars. Anyway, although the fuel economy might not be the greatest, hopefully this Mercedes C300 can put a smile on my face. Let's get to some B roads and find out. Okay, I'm an individual, got the car in full manual mode, or as full manual as it gets. ESC is off, of course. Let's have a taste of the flavours. Front end grip is really nice, actually. Then stab the throttle, you can get the rear to come round. It really does handle pretty well, you know. It's not that slow, is it? It's got enough like road performance that I'm happy with it. It's like sort of mid-level hot hatch quick, not like a Golf R obviously, but almost a Golf GTI. It's pretty good. I don't even really feel like I need to stage one map it. Other thing I really like is the intake noise. Like if I slow down here and then put my foot down, you get a really nice noise from the turbo. And I thought it was pumped in, but I put the windows down earlier and it's actually not, surprisingly. There is definitely some fake noise going on as soon as you get into sports mode though. Almost makes it sound like a V6, which is weird. But I mean, look at this road holding. You kind of just place it where you want it, really. Suspension's quite soft still, so you can't really push it. It's not like a proper sports car, but it's really not bad for what it is. It's very predictable, easy to handle. Steering's actually nice and positive as well. Mercedes do steering fairly well. It's better than some newer BMWs, I have to say, and the steering wheel's not too thick. But you just know exactly what it's going to do. Only thing I'd wish is that the ESC was a little bit more lenient. It only gives you a very small angle before it sort of reins you in quite quickly. Yeah, BMWs, they let you have a little bit more fun. I say this is like in between Audi and BMW. It's very safe at the end of the day. You know, if you're an inexperienced driver, you can get behind the wheel of this, turn the traction off, and it's not going to let you do anything too untoward. Now the gearbox is warm as well. It's actually fairly good at shifting. Nice. Some people seem to have zero lane discipline. It's always people in the smallest cars as well that seem to take up the most of the road. 12,000 RPM, pulls nicely. And when you really rev it out, the gearbox does change gears pretty quickly. Nice. It's really quite good. I actually really like this. I think like the C220 diesel is kind of just like a nice daily driver, a bit rattly. Because you got that sort of 4-cylinder diesel rattling away. But this is fairly smooth, even for a 4-cylinder. I just wish it was a bit more economical, because then it really would like strike both balances well. You know, it'd have the best of both worlds then. And also, because of its size, it should be fairly good on a B road. So let's take it to one now and see if we can have some more fun. Okay, down our favourite little B road. Love that intake noise. I suppose they had to do something with the sound. Can't just leave it as like a sort of 4-cylinder rattle, can you? Suspension. I don't want to push it too much because of that splitter, to be fair, but I mean it's like almost perfect for UK roads. Just a little too soft, but almost perfect. Just get a nice push out of corners as well. Okay, sort of launch. Can we get to 60 before the corner? Oh yes we can. See, it's got about the right amount of power. And even though it's fake noise, it is kind of nice, isn't it? Better than nothing. If the engine itself sounded good, then I probably wouldn't want pumped in fake sound, but when it's just your bog standard 4-cylinder, it's nice to have some kind of theatre. It's a clever stability control system, this, so if it detects any understeer, it really chucks power at the back. So you can, you can play around with it a bit. So this is like the perfect car for someone that wants something fun, but not scary. Even if you're an inexperienced driver, you can easily get behind the wheel of this and just play around with it a bit. Also, when you are on it, that's when you do notice 2-litre engines being a bit more efficient than their 3-litre counterparts, still doing 28 miles per gallon, which is really not that bad. One last time. In terms of placement on the road, I can get it pretty much where I want it. Rear end feels very slightly disconnected, but it's not that bad at all. Just there, you notice it's a little bit floaty. Now I'm comparing this to like proper AMGs, and it's not. Brakes are fantastic though. Like, you can really lean on them. I seem to turn the radio on. It's a tidy package, this. I think if you can get one for the right money, it is decent. If you really wanted to go proper performance car, then you can put an exhaust on it. You can have a bit of fun. It's never going to be like a C623. But, I mean, it handles very closely to a Mercedes C43. Like, very close. That I kind of don't see the point in that car. I mean, you're only buying that for the engine, really, and it's not like the best engine in the world. It's nicer to have, obviously, more cylinders, more better, as they say. But yeah, this is a tidy package. It seems to pretty much do everything pretty well. And that about sums it up, really. It does the mundane, and it does a bit of fun stuff too. It actually strikes a better balance, I think, than a lot of full-fat performance cars these days. Many proper M cars or AMGs tend to be so fast and so stiff that you can't get anywhere near their limit on a public road. So it's nice to be able to exploit a car's chassis without breaking too many speed limits. So if you're looking for a slightly sporty daily driver, this Mercedes C300 seems like a pretty solid deal to me. As always, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a like and why not subscribe? Because not only can you see more content like this, you can see everything we have for sale, which actually still includes this surprisingly nice Mercedes C300. Anyway, my name's Tom, and you've been watching Paragon Cars. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.